All right, everybody on YouTube, let's accept this. Let's get this going there. Hey, 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 1, 2, 3. All right, we got audio going, right? Yeah. Let's open this. Oh, that light is bright on me. What is going on there? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Oh, here it is. Hey, everybody. My phone's on silent, so that's why it's been dumping everyone out. Let's retweet this. Let's retweet here. Let's retweet everywhere. Hang on 1 second. All right, hey chat room, hey everybody. Let me get Paul on the line. We got our node fixed. Actually, I'll show you guys one went bad on it. Hold on. All right, let me get Paul here. Da, 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 da. All right, I gotta get Paul this link every week. I wish there was a way that I could figure out that I don't have to give it to him every week. That's what the tag. That's it. I know I said here's the link. Copy link. Hey, Red Dragon. Hey, hey. So this is what went bad on the node. This is the power supply. So I'm guessing, if I were to guess, it's a cap that went bad. If I were to guess, it's this guy here. Because he's a little chunky compared to the new one. But all these caps look good. So this replacement cost me a lot of money. Somebody asked me, do you want to see the solder points? Here are the solder points. A little, for those interested. Ooh, is Twitch not going live? Uh-oh. Hi, Paul.
Hey.
You could hear me, right?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. It works.
Yeah.
All right. Why can't I get Twitch to work? Just saying sending data. Actually, none of this is working. Uh-oh. Let's see if I can get this going here. I don't know why I can't get restream to send out the feed. It's not good. Stop stream. Oh, because you need to reauthorize it every time, which is really stupid that you got to do this. Sorry, Paul. He wants to know if I'm a robot or not. I am not a robot. I hate these captchas. Which one is a crosswalk? Which one is a car? Which one is a storefront? I want to tell you. I'm not telling you any of them. All right. Let's see. Now we're streaming. I would like to go on Twitch, if you don't mind. Just says sending feed. All right. I'll do it another way if anything. If this doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know why. Don't know. Stop this. This changes to Twitch.
Shit.
Let's
forget this.
Log in. Oh, God. Why? I hate two-factor authentication. Can't we just live in a world that nobody wants your password? All right. At least YouTube works. Sorry, Paul. Saying unauthorized. Great. You know what? I'm not even bothering. I don't have time to waste on that. Okay. We'll just be on YouTube today. That's what we'll do. So, did you die on Twitch? It's not working for me. You guys were seeing me on Twitch? Because it's not working. Sorry, Paul.
It's okay. What is this?
Okay. I'm sending it to Restream now. Let's try again. Twitch. It's toggled on. Says live. Great. Thank you. Ay. All right. Do we tweet this out that we're live? Yes. All right. Well, I'm good to start. And how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm just about there.
All right. We'll take 2 seconds here. Twitch is live. YouTube is live. I've retweeted it.
Let's go.
All right. Let's see this video. Let's see that. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. I'm good to go. Just give me the heads up, and then I'll just do one final thing.
Crap.
That's always good.
No, I just...
Ah, crap. Oh my God, solder points. It makes me hot. Look at my solder points on this Valentine's Day special. These are good solder points. It's crazy how just a bad cap could ruin the whole thing. All right. Let's go here. That's here. Let me do one more tweet and then sure you'll be ready.
Oh shit! Hold on. This could be major. Oh, oh.
No, not bad. There we go. Do I sound any different to you, Paul? By any chance?
I sound a little low, but
I sound a little low. Okay.
these built. Okay, sorry.
No, no worries.
Jokes. God work.
What are you doing? You have to make a post?
No, I guess I will wait, but Microsoft did something kind of interesting.
Oh, can we talk about it?
I don't know enough about it. I mean, yeah, there's not a lot to know apparently.
Oh. Okay. All right. People are giving us hearts. It's Valentine's Day. I'm good to go. All right. All right. Should I hit record, Paul? Or you still need a minute?
Sorry. All of a sudden, it's like stuff happening.
What happened?
Just work stuff. I'm sorry.
No, no worries. Let me know.
All right. I'm all set. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Oh, hold on. I just got to do one more thing here. Okay. All right. Let's get started, guys. Here we go. What the Tech is brought to you by Backblaze. Unlimited online backups for just $5. No gimmicks, add-ons, or gotchas. To start your 15-day free trial, go to backblaze.com/whatthetech. Everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew Zarin. Of course, I'm joined by Mr. Paul Thurrott. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good.
Busy.
How are you?
Busy day, huh?
Yeah, suddenly.
What happened? You got a couple of emails in. You got it always happens when you don't want it to happen.
No,
right?
it's just work stuff I can't discuss.
Oh, okay.
And just a Microsoft thing that's happening.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. This week we are back to our regular setup. I know that a lot of people complained at the quality of the show last week, and that's because I was actually Skyping in. Almost I was vMixing into the machine because our node went, the thing that controls all our audio here at the studio, and I had to get it replaced. I ended up finding somebody that could replace the node. And Paul, this is the thing that went bad. It's the power supply to the node. So imagine having to find this somewhere on the internet. You know, not from the manufacturer, but you had to get it from like somebody that actually had it. I found it in a shop in Michigan. This guy happened to have one and he sent it over, and the first one didn't have enough caps on it, so it was overheating. So he
Okay.
ended up having to overnight another one, and we got it going, and I think we're fine now. We're back to normal and the way that we do the show. You also had a busy week. You were in New York this week.
Yeah, that's right. It
How
seems
did?
like a million years ago.
I know. How was it?
It was great mostly. We decided to come the night before, as you know, and Stephanie and I came. I had a meeting on Tuesday morning, and so my wife also had a meeting on Tuesday morning, and we hung out with Mary Jo. Andrew was invited, but he blew us off. And it's probably good. I was poisoned with alcohol that night.
Oh no.
It's been a while. That's what happens. And then, I mean, I thought that was going to be the bad news for the trip, but then, this little snowstorm thing happened. And you wouldn't think 2 or 4 inches of snow could cause a problem to a place like New York City, but
It did.
it did. And actually, I shouldn't blame New York City. The problem was really the state of New Jersey. So basically, like when you think about like the geography, for me to get home, I have to go through New Jersey, and they
I'm sorry.
basically, yeah, I know, it's awful. Um, it was so much better when I came from Boston. I had to go through Connecticut. That was nice. But anyway, they canceled bus service, and so we were going to be stuck there. And then they said, actually, we're probably going to do some later runs. And so we hung out for a while. And then all of a sudden we learned that there was a bus leaving at 2. And when we learned that, it was 1:52. So we had to run over to the Port Authority.
So it was one. And what time was the train? What time was the bus leaving? 2:00.
2:00. But see, the joke here is, well, it's 2 jokes, I guess. One is it wasn't going through the normal gate. So we had to figure out the gate. If you've ever been in the Port Authority, it's like a rabbit warren of holes and gates, and it's multiple levels. Nobody there could figure out where this frickin' thing was. It was crazy. Like, we went to the Transbridge counter, and they're like, oh, they're like, oh, they canceled all the service today. We're like, no, they didn't. Anyway, we did find it. So we were the last people to get on the bus, but we got on it knowing the second joke, which is normally from New York City it goes to West Coastville, Pennsylvania. There's one other stop. So it's between 90 minutes and 2 hours, depending on how things go. But this time, because it was the only run they were doing all day, they made every stop from multiple lines. So I don't remember all of them, but we stopped in various places like Clinton, New Jersey,
Clifton.
some other place in New Jersey. I don't know. It was awful.
So
3 stops in Bethlehem.
Yeah. How long did it take you? Long story short.
5 hours.
5 hours
5
to do a
hours.
2-hour trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terrible.
it was just,
terrible.
and whatever. The driver was great. We thanked him very much when we got back, and he was, he did a great job. And then everyone was good. Everyone was good about it. It was, we were in good spirits and all that, but it's just really tiring,
Yeah, I can imagine the stress of it. The running around, the stress
Yeah.
of that is terrible. No, unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I had a meeting in the morning, and then
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, if you get in by 3, I'll be done with the meeting, and then I'll come by.
Mhm.
I'll meet you guys in Manhattan, and we'll hang out that
Yep.
night. I forgot I had to do a whole bunch of recordings for next week.
Mhm.
Because I won't be here on Thursday, so I had to record stuff for next Thursday yesterday, and then I had to do an
Yeah.
interview with somebody. So I was like,
Okay.
oh man, I can't do
Oh,
it.
that's
And
cool.
then
Like I said,
it happens.
we'll be back. We
It's
come
rare.
to New York.
It's rare that we don't do it, but we do have a lot to talk
Yeah.
about today. Last
Mhm.
week we
Do
got
we?
a lot. We do actually, yeah. Last
Good.
week we got a lot of compliments. People really enjoyed the show last
Mhm.
week. They really enjoyed the bonus show that we did, and I actually released it for everybody to listen to because it was a lot of fun talking to you about it. Just the topic. I started off just asking you questions about you. It was almost like an interview show, and then it kind of
Yeah,
spun
well,
into
it
something
is a
else.
fascinating topic for me, for sure. Yeah.
So I do have a lot to talk about, obviously that and a whole lot more, but I do want to welcome our new sponsor, and that's Backblaze. You guys have heard of Backblaze. It's unlimited online backups, no gimmicks, add-ons, or gotchas, which a lot of the other guys do. You can back up your movies, music, photos, video projects. All the data gets backed up. There's no exclusions. It's not just documents. You can back up everything, and they have a great offer. Here's the great thing. It's $5 a month. If you go to backblaze.com/whatthetech, you can start your 15-day free trial. They also have enterprise, so it's not just for personal stuff too. You could do enterprise stuff also. So I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna see what their enterprise stuff is because I was looking at it yesterday. I do my personal stuff with Backblaze, and that's how I kind of got introduced to this. But I'm looking to start storing all my media because I'm trying to eliminate some of these computers that I have here. I have servers that I'm backing up uh god gigabytes and gigabytes of stuff every single time, and I went through it, I cleaned it up, and it actually is a lot smaller than it was, and it makes sense to have a cloud backup for this stuff because it's not accessible things that I'm doing. So they're actually amazing how their service works. You could do there's a mobile app to access your stuff on the go. You could restore by mail, so they mail you a flash key or a hard drive restores shipped to your door. Restore, return, refund program. You could buy a hard drive restore, send the hard drive back within 30 days, and get a full refund. Seriously, back up your stuff. Guys, again, it's unlimited online backup with no gimmicks, add-ons, or gotchas. Go to backblaze.com/whatthetech. That's backblaze.com/whatthetech. And start your 15-day trial of Backblaze. These guys are really good. Also, they have over 750 petabytes. How many zeros is that, Paul?
Petabytes?
A petabyte.
No idea. 19? No, I really have no idea.
5 million zeros.
Many.
No, that's not true.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's not. It's not 5 million zeros. It's not. I'm lying. It's someone's gonna message me and say you said it was 5 million zeros. They also have over 35 billion files restored, which is amazing. Backblaze.com/whatthetech. Let's begin. I have a couple notes here. Look at this. I'm old school today. I wrote down my notes in a book, in a secret book. So
Wow, it's like Andrew's little black book.
this is Andrew's little black book. There's a lot of secrets in this book, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of secrets. Make sure
If you
that
flip the pages, is there a little animation that you made in the corner?
yeah, it's
You know,
a
like
little Popeye arm.
a little drawing on each page.
Yeah. I do want to talk about this. So Samsung did something really bizarre, but yet interesting. I've never seen them do this before. They put the Samsung S10 on pre-sale.
I know.
Okay,
That's awesome.
With the title of save up to $500 off when you trade in your phone. That's all great, right? But here's the big problem. We don't have pricing on these phones. What are you saving $500 on? $3,000, $2,000, $1,000. I mean, it's actually weird that they did this. Now, next week we get the announcement on the 20th, which is fine. It's a couple days away. But for them to release this pre-release, very weird, right?
Well, it's it's sort of like reserving a spot at this point. In other words, you kind of say like I have an iPhone 10s. Not that anyone would ever trade in such a phone. I want to trade that in. It's worth $550, let's say, and then you've got your place in line. And I assume next Wednesday when they formally announce this, you'll get an email back from Samsung. We'll say, okay, you want to go through with this? Here are your choices. And I think there might actually be 3 phones that they're announcing next week, right? We know about the S10, the S10 Plus. I think there might be a third one as well, but whatever that is, you make your choice. I suspect the hint that we're getting from them doing this so early is that pricing will not be more expensive than it's been in the past. Like, I don't think they're going to raise prices.
Yeah. Well, this also makes me think that the S10 is not their priority of this announcement. I think the S10 is going to be the obvious every yearly upgrade that this phone gets, but it looks like the S10 is not the priority. We're also getting multiple models of the S10. There's going to be a very expensive model and more of an affordable model, much like the iPhone's platform, right, with the XR and all that stuff. I don't know. For me, as a Samsung S9 Plus owner, I'm not very enticed to purchase an S10. I don't know. It hasn't really done anything. It hasn't resonated with me yet. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna unveil something at the announcement that
I don't think it's aimed at you, right? Samsung, like we talked in the past, they've been very upfront about the fact that it's getting harder every year to come up with dramatic improvements. We know that the amount of time between upgrades is extended out from 1 to 2 to 3 to possibly 4 years, even on the Apple side. I bet it's the same on Samsung with the flagships, And so I bet even people who have an S8 Plus or whatever are not necessarily the target for this one. And I think that's just the natural progression of smartphone evolution, So You may end up getting something like this because you're an enthusiast, because we do podcasts and, whatever, you might want to talk about the new thing. But, as a normal consumer, I don't think most people with an S8 or S9 class device are going to be looking at upgrading yet,
I think an
and that's
S8.
fine.
I think an S8 might consider this. I think this might be a good jump for them. An S9 definitely not. So I mean, everybody has the information.
Andrew, if you ever disagree with me again, I swear to God.
I'm going to disagree with you on this. I'm a Samsung user, not you, Paul. You return yours.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, Apple boy. All right, fine.
I really, I'm not really blown away by this. I think it's a nice evolutionary device. I do think the display is stunning, and they're doing something really cool that you brought up, which is their cool factor with that display, and that's a tiny notch on the right-hand side of the display rather than this bar taking over the top.
It's like a hole, really, right? It's not really connected, is it? Isn't it just kind of free floating out there? And
it's free floating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Aesthetically, I don't know. We talked about the Apple Notch and how ridiculous it was, but now I think we just get used to it. I think the Apple just slowly, poisons us, and we like everything.
But the truth is, the Apple Notch it's too big. It's ridiculous, And I don't remember if I told this story with you, but
who else would you have told it with, Paul? Who else would you have told the story?
Well, I have other people I talk to, Andrew.
Oh, okay. Like Leo.
No, this probably would have come up with Brad, but a couple of weekends ago, my wife and I went to Philadelphia, and I said, "Hey," she was getting ready to map it on her phone, and I said, "Actually, if you don't mind, let me do it on the iPhone, because on the iPhone, when you enable large or bold fonts, they pass through to the Google Maps app, and it actually makes the text way easier to read, especially when you're driving a car. When you have to kind of look at it quickly and then look back at the road." So she's like, "Yeah, cool," and she agreed that it does look better. It's somewhat ironic that on a non-Google device, a Google app actually looks better, because it's taking advantage of some underlying font capability that does not exist in Android. But she also commented on the notch, and she's like, "Geez," she goes, "Why is that thing so big?" And I said, "It's funny that you're catching on to this now," because she's not a tech person. She doesn't care, Her first literal experience looking at that new iPhone, which, granted the notch is like a year old now, but she had never seen one in person, and she was like, "I cannot believe how big that thing is." And that's not something my wife normally says, as you would know, but it was just it was kind of an interesting reaction from a normal human being to something that I still feel, and I've been using the iPhone XR, and I like it a lot. I legitimately like this phone quite a bit, but the notch it's big. It's too big, and I get you. People get used to it. I know that, but I think we can all acknowledge that if it was smaller, it'd be better, and if it disappeared, that'd be even better still.
Yeah, I think that's what's starting to happen now. Slowly, little by little, it's going to get smaller, and I think Apple will probably most likely, at one point, realize that their notch is a little obnoxious, and they'll, pull back a little bit on it, which I hope so. I hope so. The big story here for Samsung, and have you seen the new Samsung commercial? Where they're all singing in French.
Oh no, no.
Okay, so there's a new Samsung commercial, and it's a French song, and I'm gonna butcher it if I attempt it, so I'm not gonna sing it. So they're singing.
What French song? Frere Jacques?
No, it's not Frere Jacques. No, you got to hear it. If you find it, you'll hear it. My wife knows it. I don't know why, but my wife knows the song, and my wife actually said, "Wow, that's a pretty cool commercial for Samsung." She liked it. So they're using the foldable device in the commercial.
Yeah.
So there's a lady, she's jogging, and it's in, it's in the phone mode. And then there's a guy, he's a tattoo artist, and he's drawing a tattoo of a flower, and it's wide open. I am actually very surprised that they're putting this commercial out with nobody knowing about this device. I'm talking about normal people. I'm not talking about you and I, and I'm not talking about the audience. But my wife actually said, "What?" And I saw it, so she's like, "Oh, it's a cool commercial." And she's like, "Is that their tablet? Well, what is that?" I go, "Oh no, that's their phone. It's foldable." Yeah. And I started showing her pictures online. She's like, "They don't tell you that at all."
So, are they gonna? I think they might be discussing this next week, right?
I'm assuming. I mean, why else would you release a commercial for something if you're not unveiling?
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes, all right. So in this case, you could say, well, they're doing this to create buzz. around this thing. In other words, this is their. They haven't said what it is. Normal people out in the public might not be aware that Samsung is on the cusp of releasing a foldable smartphone, right? So this will be news to them. It might just be get it in your head, that this is coming, kind of thing. But I'm not I'm not an advertising expert by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, sometimes it seems like it would make sense for big brands like Samsung just to get out there in front of people and say, look, in their case, we're innovators. Like we want you to associate the Samsung brand with this thing that no one else is doing. I know other companies are doing it, but to most consumers, this is just a brand new kind of thing. And maybe
Yeah.
that's all it is just don't forget about us.
I'm gonna tell you something.
We do
Looking
stuff.
at this thing, uh, this is impressive for a number of reasons. One, nobody's doing
Yeah.
it, right? This is impressive for a number of reasons. One, this
Well, I mean, other companies are going to announce stuff like this
obviously,
as soon as 2 weeks from now.
obviously. The fact that they were, I mean, we've been talking about foldable phones and foldable technology for quite some time, and
Mhm.
it started out with those the e-ink foldable displays that everybody was praising, and we didn't really
Yeah.
see them roll out much. But this is the beginning of it. Now, it's not a total. It doesn't look aesthetically really pleasing when it's folded because it's almost like an accordion on the hinge.
Yeah.
But
It's still kind of open a bit.
it's still kind of open. Yeah, it's never flush. But
Yeah.
this is a step in the right direction, and
Mhm.
I don't know. This is winning me over a little bit because I'm thinking of where this would come into play, right? Like where would
Yeah.
where would you benefit with this? And reality is fold this thing, put it in your pocket, take it out, sitting at a bar, dock it on a little
Mhm.
keyboard, and you just have a computer in your pocket.
The other thing I was thinking about with this device is that obviously phones have been somewhat constrained by the fact that they do have to fit in your pocket, right? And remember when Samsung came out with the first Note, everyone made fun of them because it was this giant thing, like it was all that, like someone would hold like an iPad next to their head and pretend it was a phone and like, see how big this thing is. But, I think a lot of people would benefit from a larger screen most of the time, right? So, in many ways, the real advantage here is that you can fold it, put it in your pocket, and carry it. But when you're out in the world at a bar, wherever, coffee shop, you can just leave it open,
Yeah.
and benefit from that bigger screen.
I'm very curious about this device. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get I'm not gonna get overly excited over it, but I
Right.
would maybe be more likely to purchase this than the S10. And I'm
Interesting.
thinking maybe this is why the S10 pre-orders have been put into play right now
You
because
th
they want to get
well,
those in, and then because they know that this is not going to be as available as the
I don't know.
S10 is,
So I think the folding
manufacturing
phone
wise.
it's gonna be so prohibitively expensive especially this first year.
What are you guessing? Give me a crazy guess. I'm gonna go with
$1,500
14.
at least, probably 2,000.
I was gonna go with 14. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with 1400 baseline.
The
Um,
rationale there is that the very most expensive phones today are $1,500, you're right, at the high end. That's as high
freaking
as they
nuts,
go.
huh? Isn't that nuts that we're
It's
talking about that?
crazy, but this thing
Yeah.
has to be more than that. I mean, the technology is brand new. It's expensive to make, I'm sure.
But Paul, it's
Um,
not really 1500 because you're only paying $30 or $40 a month. You don't really know.
I mean, at that level, it's almost like a car payment, but
Yeah.
okay, whatever. It's fine. I have a hard time internalizing the justification for a $1,500 phone that someone would need that much storage and that screen. Whatever. Okay, fine. They exist, I guess, but um, this is going to be more than that.
This is, yeah. The other
Yeah.
thing that's enticing about the Samsung announcement that's getting a little overlooked is the fact that these
Mhm.
devices are going to be 5G phones.
Oh, are
And I
they really?
believe, yeah, well,
Okay.
from what I understand, they're 5G
Yep.
phones. The Samsung S10
Okay.
is going to be a 5G phone
That's
for
good.
them, and this is I believe this will be the first flagship for Samsung and AT&T and those, and they're getting that boost. Um,
Also, first with a 855
First with an
uh,
855, yes.
processor. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of firsts with this device, with the
Yep.
Samsung lineup. I mean, listen, maybe with the foldable they don't do it. I think it would be silly for them not to do it if they're putting that chipset in all their phones.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
So we are getting a lot of firsts next week from Samsung, and I do think that it's important to keep an eye on it because I'm not,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's interesting, right, Paul? This is the first time in
Mhm.
I can't even tell you how many years that you and I are talking about a product launch, a phone specifically, and we have not discussed
Right.
camera once,
Yep.
right? So
So
think
the
about it;
camera is
it's
the one
different.
thing we haven't heard about a lot, right? And that's true of the S10 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is a story, and I can't recall where I read this, but there was a Samsung executive who was in Europe, and he was in a some kind of electronics store, and they had Huawei devices and blah blah blah, whatever it was. And he didn't identify himself as a Samsung guy, but he said, "I want to get the phone with the best camera. What is that?" And the guy said, "Oh, it's you got to get this Huawei thing." He said, "Huawei."
Yeah.
Like he was kind of blown away, but he said, "Well, what about the Samsung?" And he said, "Those are good cameras, but they're not great cameras."
Yeah.
And he and again, I apologize, I can't remember where I read this, but he apparently went back and said, "Look, we're going to fix this." And that one of his goals for the next generation of Samsung flagships was they were going to have best in class cameras. And I got to tell you, the one thing that would make the S10 Plus or whatever compelling to me would be if that happened.
Hmm.
I have a Huawei Mate 20 Pro, which is unbelievable. The camera is just unbelievable.
Is it the best one that
But
you've used? Is it better than the Pixel?
yeah, so I have to qualify what I'm about to say. It is overall. The Pixel is still better in low light. There's something magical that Google's doing there. The Huawei does have a night mode. It's slow, but and it's pretty good, and it's certainly better than anything on the iPhone or whatever. But it doesn't quite reach that level that the Pixel does, and not just the new Pixels too. I have we were doing tests with Mary Jo's phone, by the way, when we were together, but the Pixel 2 XL has the same thing. It works great. Like the night mode stuff, or whatever they're calling it, on the Pixel 2, I think it's on the 1 as well, is incredible. But other than that, I prefer the Huawei. It's I think it was a guy from The Verge who kind of called this stuff like photography, like FAUX
Mm-hmm.
photography, because we are reaching a point. It started with HDR, and it's going beyond that with these new cameras that have all kinds of different modes for like macro modes and super wide modes, and they're really playing up that contrasty image quality kind of thing, which I happen to like. But I would also admit, if you hold it up to what you're looking at in real life, it's not actually what you're seeing. It's kind of better than what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So a purist would say, no, it's not better. For me personally, I feel that it is better. The image quality that I get off of this phone is the best I've ever seen, period. Other than, again, with the little exceptions like night mode. Some other people may disagree. You can turn it off. I mean, so you don't have to have that stuff on. But you've seen some of the food pictures I've taken with it. I assume, like, you can always tell when
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah. It's
taken with the
beautiful.
Huawei. They're
It's
incredible.
beautiful. Yeah, I'm actually very impressed with it. I'm actually surprised how good it is. Sometimes you think of another, company that's going to have a top quality phone. It's not Huawei that comes to mind. But with Samsung,
No,
I have to tell you, the thing that they do, they give you great pro settings, which is something that you don't get on an iPhone. But
right.
I kind of don't want to fiddle. Sometimes I just want to take the photo, and
Yep, yep,
it's never as good. It's never as I got to
yeah.
be careful how I say this because it's not that it's not good. I feel that it's great. But
Yeah.
there's something that is missing. I feel like it's a little flat. If you know
I
what I
think
mean?
you're
Like,
talking about Samsung in particular.
yeah.
Yeah. My thing with the Samsung, this is the last gen phone, was that I could see what they were trying to do. Obviously, all these companies are using some kind of an AI thing to analyze the scene and whatever. So like Apple will use something, I think they call it Smart HDR this year, where HDR comes on only when they think it's necessary. You can't say I want HDR on all the time.
Hmm.
They're outthinking you, right? And the idea is we're going to always try to give you the best possible photo. And the iPhone performs pretty well, not in low light conditions, but in normal photography, whatever. The Samsung thing from last year, the phone that you have, you can tell looking at some of the photos, like low light is a great example. You know what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not always successful, you know. Sometimes it will light up a scene a little too much, kind of washes it out a little bit. Like they're trying to make it so you can see everything, but we don't want to put the flash on because we know that annoys people now. Like we suddenly figured that out. But yeah, they have a. I don't know what it is. Some combination of hardware quality and software quality that needs to be updated, and I hope they do it.
Yeah.
That would make a Samsung S10 whatever compelling to me.
Well, I have the specs, the leaked specs of the S10,
Okay.
and we'll go with the Plus since that's the flagship, right?
Yeah.
12 megapixel, f
Okay.
2.4 telephoto, 45 degrees for the camera for the the width, zoom,
Mhm.
OIS, autofocus, and then it also has a 12 megapixel f 1.5 wide at a 77
Yep.
degree dual aperture, dual pixel OIS, and then it has a 16 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide at 123 degrees. Uh, I
Yeah.
that is very wide, and I don't know the circumstance that you would need an ultra wide 122-degree
These are
lens.
all three are on the back.
All three are on the back. Yeah.
So a lot of times you'll see an ultra wide on the front, so you can get like a bigger group of people in with a selfie. The Huawei, I don't know the specs off the top of my head, but it also has a triple camera on the back. It's probably very similar to what you just described: a telephoto, a wide, and a super wide. And they use them in combinations. And again, with the AI processing in this phone, it will automatically enable or give you an on-screen option. And so you could kind of imagine you're taking a picture of like a cityscape from across the river or whatever.
Mm.
And you might see a little thing at the bottom that says super wide, and you click that, and then it kind of expands out. It might be just for that kind of thing. It's almost like a one shot, not quite panorama, but a cinemascope kind of
CinemaScope.
whatever
Yeah,
you call that,
that's a good word.
whatever the
Um,
term is.
So the front-facing camera is a 10 megapixel f1.9 main, and then it has an 8
Mhm.
megapixel f2.2 live focus, dual pixel AF UHD selfie depth. So that one's going to be their portrait mode, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
with the
for portrait
front-facing
mode. Yeah,
camera.
yeah, because you do depth sensing with the lens.
Yeah, which if you think about it, a lot of people just use. I mean, think about all the photos that you
Yeah,
see online.
computational.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's I don't know. I'm curious seeing what their algorithm does. That's what it really comes down to at this point. What the software's doing.
I They have the capability. I mean, I'm not going to write them off. We'll see. But we have to see it. I have to use it. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Huawei has blown me away. Like I said, the Google stuff, and they do it with a single lens, which is amazing. The Google camera quality has
That
just
is
been
amazing,
amazing. It's
huh? I mean, they really
yeah,
have the formula for the software side of things. Just imagine if they kind of,
you know,
just kind of go ham with the hardware on that camera. I guess they don't have to. They don't have to put in
I guess they
a
don't have. I
unbelievable.
know it's
Yeah,
crazy. Like I would be shocked if they didn't have a dual camera next year. But then again, it's amazing as it is.
yeah. So that's the Samsung stuff. Obviously, we're going to see it on the 20th next week.
Mhm.
Obviously, we'll talk about it more next week when we see. But obviously, everybody has leaked images from Samsung, and everybody has
Yeah,
a firsthand look on it. I mean, you can see this thing
it's
everywhere.
leaked.
It's been
I've never seen
leaked.
anything like this product. It is just leaked and leaked and leaked and leaked.
It's
It
been
looks
leaked
great.
for months. Yeah, yeah.
The color choices look great. Have you seen the different whites they're
Yeah,
gonna have? There's like an Arctic white, I think they call it, and
yeah,
oh no, ceramic white and whatever the other white is. They look great.
yeah. Listen, it's going to be a great looking phone. I'm not concerned with that. I just let's see
Yeah.
what happens. And next week we'll
Mhm.
talk more about it. So I do want to remind everybody, if you enjoy the show, you can fund us on Patreon, patreon.com/MattMenPodcast. Last week's Patreon show was probably one of the better ones that we've done. People really enjoyed it. You could go back and check it out.
Mhm.
Paul and I had a very in-depth conversation. I think we went like 45 minutes on that. So if you're thinking about it, we did almost 2 hours, and it has been a long time since we've done that. Obviously, this week we're doing it on a Thursday. Paul was traveling. We're not going to be able to do 2 hours
I
because
hope you
he
liked it
has
last week because we're not
yeah
doing it this week.
no because Paul has something called a real job, and he has a meeting today. So
I kind of
Paul and I
dread
won't be.
Thursdays, dude. You don't have any idea how
I know,
terrible
I
this
know,
is for
I
me.
know. Well, it's okay. Tuesdays are our days. We just gotta
Yeah.
figure it out. And unfortunately, we can't do a Wednesday because you do Windows Weekly on Wednesday. But
Yeah.
maybe we could figure something out where when we're not doing this, we could record at another time for the bonus stuff.
Mhm.
Um. Also, what's the Microsoft Mobile World Congress announcement that's coming out? Because we did see a little teaser. Can I
Yeah.
guess? I
It's
want to
not
guess.
Yeah, please do.
It's a Surface phone. No? Am I wrong? Am I?
No, sorry. Let's bring you back from alternate reality world. No, they're absolutely going to announce a next generation HoloLens. The question here is going to be if there's anything else going on with that. So I don't know. I'm not being coy. I have no idea, but um, yeah, at least for that. And so, yeah, I'm going there, right? So I'm going to go to Barcelona and attend this event, although they're changing the time around. I think they've changed it to be later, which will work to my advantage because I don't arrive. I think I arrive on Sunday because I couldn't fly previous to that or whatever. But um, yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, at least a second HoloLens, maybe something else.
Maybe anything with Andromeda? Any news? Nothing, huh? Interesting. Do you think
Well,
things kind of
Microsoft
slowed?
continues to work on dual screen technologies, right? I would be. We know their partners are going to release some devices. I keep pointing to Build because I have to, but the developer show is in early May. That would be the obvious time to kind of announce what's happening there. Just before the show, there was a kind of a pause there because I saw an announcement from Microsoft. That was with regards to not the version of Windows 10 they're working on now, not the version of Windows 10 they're working on, which they are working on now for the fall, but the one that is going to come a year from now ish, which is kind of called 20H1 right now for the first half of 2020. They actually released a build of that today. That's unprecedented, right? They have 3 active versions of Windows in development simultaneously. And the rationale for that, again, it was a very short description, but it basically said there's a lot of stuff going on in that version. We need more time to test it. And so we're going to put builds of this thing out for the next year, and that suggests to me that that version of Windows is going to be a big deal. It's a big change. There's all kinds of things that could mean. There's kind of the Windows Core stuff and the Windows Lite stuff, and there's all the stuff we talk about. But one of those things is support for these dual screen devices or folding screen devices or whatever. And maybe that's the version of Windows where that happens. If so, that might be the time frame for whatever Andromeda becomes or whatever Microsoft's partners create in that space. And so I'm just speculating for now because again, the announcement was very brief and vague, but it is interesting to me, and that they're doing this now, and people will download it, and people like Rafael Rivera or the Walking Cat on Twitter will look into it and see, because there'll be stuff hidden in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe we'll learn. Yeah, maybe in the next couple of days we'll learn more about that.
By the way, I made I read the wrong thing. I said Matt Men podcast for our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
It is not. It's the other show that I do.
Did you really? I didn't even notice.
It's patreon.com/whatthetech. Patreon.com/whatthetech. I've said Matt Men podcast.
Don't you dare support that other show.
Yeah, a lot of our viewers do. We have a weird wrestling crossover, Paul. A lot. You know what my number one request is? For you and I to do a watch along for a wrestling show. That is my number one request on that show. People want you to watch wrestling with me.
I want to have that moment. When in Rocky 3 when he wrestled, I don't remember what they called it, but it was
Thunderlips.
Thunderlips, yes. Hulk Hogan, obviously. And then it was supposed to be some kind of a friendly promotional thing, and then Hulk Hogan beat the crap out of him. But there was the moment where Hulk Hogan held him up over his head, and I think he threw him into the stands probably.
You want to do that to me?
And I want that to happen. I want a wrestler to do that to me. I want that to be my one moment on the mat.
I think we can.
Brief because I'll be picked up and thrown.
I think
people my size don't get picked up a lot, Andrew. I think it would be entertaining to be tossed around like a teddy bear.
I think I could do that. I think I could find somebody to do that to you. I want to talk about something interesting. Google's investment in hardware in 2019. You have a post on Thorat.com, which I have to open up again because I lost my bearings when I said Matt Men podcast for our Patreon. I'm like, what is happening? And someone's like, Andrew, you said Matt Men podcast twice. I go, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. It's so hot in here, and I think I'm getting a cold on top of it. But both Amazon and Google, I think this is the new war: is how many companies they could kind of, how many markets they could get into. Amazon obviously acquired.
How many related markets, right?
How many related markets?
The markets they're getting into make sense for them. They're not just randomly buying cosmetic companies or whatever.
So I'm looking here on your website.
Mhm.
Obviously, they are now in the Wi-Fi market, the Wi-Fi mesh networks, and
Yeah,
obviously it makes sense for them because they have all these Wi-Fi
totally.
compatible devices that they're selling now with the Amazon Echo and the Alexa and the Show and all these things. So they kind of want to keep it under one hub, and obviously they have the security systems. Google's entering the same exact platform, so now it kind of solidifies
Yeah.
what platform you're committed to. If you're a Google Home, you're really a Google Home. If
Well, I
you're
mean,
a
a lot of
Amazon
stuff
Home,
works with both, right? To be
it
fair.
does, yeah.
Amazon's got a nice advantage because people go there to buy everything, you know? And someday soon, you're gonna see a little promo on their homepage. It's like, buy a 3-unit mesh networking thing with one of the Echo hubs and a screen maybe or something for some ridiculous low price, and that's gonna get people into that ecosystem. It's really smart. It's just really smart. Google has a harder task ahead of it because they don't have the retail presence of Amazon, not even close. I mean, they're barely anywhere. You can go to I think it's called madeby.google.com or something, but the 8 people that visit that site regularly, congratulations, they know all about it. But some of their stuff is in Best Buy. Obviously, you can get Google Homes and things like that, but they just don't have that. You get this thing when you go to Amazon. It's like, oh my God, look at all this stuff. You just kind of see it, and of course, Amazon does bundles, and it's cheap. It's a nice advantage.
Something that I would like to see done by Google, and I think that they could possibly do this, and Amazon as well, obviously. But with
Mhm.
the price point that they're at, why couldn't the Google Home, like the big one, or even the little ones at
Yeah,
this point, have a Wi-Fi adapter in them where they are Wi-Fi networks? They are
they're
a
part of the
mesh network.
mesh.
Because I
Yeah,
have I have 4 Google Homes in my house.
right. That's that's actually a really smart idea. You
That's a
should patent that.
mesh, essentially. That would be
Um,
yeah.
yep, yep. Yeah, I mean, and power line networking is a thing. I mean, they plug into power. There's all kinds of different things you could do. That's a good that's a good point. I don't know.
I
That's
was thinking about that because these are essentially, like my Google Home. That thing looks like
Mhm.
it could be a Wi-Fi adapter. It could be a
Yep.
Wi-Fi network where it just connects in. Thing
Yeah.
about the house, and this is mostly and Amazon too, for example, right? Like if you,
Mm.
uh, how many homes do you know? How many people do you know that have Echoes everywhere in the house?
Yeah.
It kind
Yeah.
of makes
No, I,
sense to,
I, I have no, I have nothing contrary to say.
yeah.
That's smart. I mean, even if they did it in a modular way where you could buy like a little base
I
that
think
added
that's
that
what it'll have to
functionality,
do. Yeah, I think what they'll end up
that would be
doing
smart
is
too.
you need the base in order for it to activate the Wi-Fi. So you end up buying this base for $150 or whatever,
Or,
and then
it could come
everything
together. I
else is an
mean,
adapter, or it comes
but
together. Yeah,
that's the thing. These speakers, even for those people who are living on the edge and they've got a gigabit Ethernet, in their house and all that stuff. These devices are all on Wi-Fi. You can't actually wire them into anything. This is how they work. So, well, I mean, obviously the Google Wi-Fi, I think you could connect to cable, but the point of this stuff is Wi-Fi.
yeah,
That's the point. And having there be more Wi-Fi and efficient mesh networking type Wi-Fi in your house would be very beneficial.
yeah.
You're going to
Um,
need to do this. We've talked about this, right? Your house, you're going to have to do some kind of mesh something,
yeah,
something.
because my house is a disaster. I
Is it
can't
made of
do.
lead? What's
It's
going
made
on there?
it's made out of lead, and the paint is made out of lead as well in this house.
Yeah.
So what's happened is I put this. I mean, you're saying lead, but I put an exterior soundproof door for my studio here.
Yep.
So when this door is closed, it's over. The Wi-Fi signal
Yeah, it
is
turns off the Wi-Fi. No, you
is
gotta
like
move the box outside the
yeah.
door.
So I
Yeah,
got
we
to move
talked
the
about
box
this.
out. But here's
Yep,
the other problem. It's a very old house, and
yep.
it just I don't know. The bodies in the walls. It was like this whole neighborhood. There was a
Yep.
bootlegger that owned the estate that my house is on. It used to
Mhm,
be this estate to a bottle manufacturer, and he was a
mhm.
bootlegger. So when I was a
Sure.
kid and we would dig in the backyard, we would find all old bottles buried. My
Yeah.
entire
Those
walls, I
bottles
believe, are lined with empty, liquor
yeah,
bottles.
I think those bottles might I think that kind of glass has lead in it, doesn't it?
You know what? That's
I
actually
think it might.
hysterical. That is really interesting that you said that because when we did my son's room, we had a
Yeah.
leak and the insurance company came and they did the whole thing. We took the first half of the wall down. They didn't pay for the whole thing. So they sheetrocked it up. Isn't that
Sure.
amazing? They paid for half the
Right.
sheetrock and not the rest. The
Okay.
entire walls had
Mhm.
bottles in them. Like I want to say like
Right.
20 bottles I found in the walls. So I don't know why they would put it in the wall, if they were hiding it, if they were using it as some sort of insulation. I have no idea.
It's no,
But there were liquor bottles
oh,
all over my walls.
that's interesting. I
Yeah.
would assume it's in. Hmm.
Interesting,
No, I'm
right?
not sure.
But I
Yeah,
mean, the
that's
property
interesting.
was it did belong to a a major bottle
Sure.
manufacturer in the 1800s essentially. So so for me it's a disaster. The other thing is I can't do the powered Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi the internet over the power lines because
You
of the
can't.
way that my wiring is done in this house. It's all fakakta.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
it
you must
doesn't
have all
really
kinds of
work well.
old-fashioned stuff in there still.
Yeah, so that's a whole different thing. But to have Google kind of say like, "Hey, listen, get these homes in and get this hub, and you could, it's a system where everything is now connected." It kind of
Right.
works. But if you look at Google's lineup, and before, I know you don't have a lot of time. I kind of wanted to touch on this. They bought
Mhm.
Fossil, right?
Yep.
They spent $40 million on Fossil smartwatch technology. They are in the home speaker market. They are in the Google Wi-Fi. They have the Google Wi-Fi. They are
Mhm.
entering the security camera market. So this
Yep.
Google
They
Home
they own
brand,
Nest.
yeah, they own Nest. So this Google Home brand has kind of
Mhm.
expanded. It literally is your house. Um,
Yep.
this is going to be the battle for them in Amazon in the coming year. This is what really is going to
Oh,
come
yeah.
down to
Yeah,
for
for
both.
sure. For sure. And like I said, Amazon has some major advantage here.
Well, they also have
I
a
happen to
smart.
prefer the Google stuff, but I'm positive nobody's even aware it exists, out in the real world.
Here's my question to you. Why do you think Google failed miserably with their set-top box market, with their with Google TV and
You mean
Android
like
TV?
Android TV? Yeah. I think it's for the same reason that they're struggling in things like wearables, this stuff you're talking about, smart speakers and so forth. Not that they're not like struggling, not that they're struggling per se, but I mean, they're not dominant. Like they're not going to just take it over. It's just that other people, the companies, I should say, have well-known brands that get lots of exposure at retail, and Google just doesn't have that. They never have.
Yeah,
Even Microsoft has a better retail presence than Google does by far. And I'm not talking about Microsoft's own stores, although, by the way, that's absolutely part of it. But if you go to like a Best Buy or whatever, you know, Microsoft is a brand that's there. Google is there. I mean, you will
yeah,
see Google Home, and you'll see a little kiosk on the end of it, of one of the aisles or whatever that has some Google stuff in it. But um, they just don't have that presence, and I think people are just kind of unaware of it. Android Wear or Wear OS or whatever we're calling it absolutely has some advantages over Apple TV. Nobody knows anything about that stuff.
yeah,
The Google smart home stuff absolutely has some advantages over Amazon. Nobody really knows about that stuff. Um, the Chromecast stuff is, I think, superior to Sonos, and nobody knows about that stuff. And it's just they're just having they're like kind of out there yelling into the rain, and no one hears them.
yeah.
It's just it's kind of a marketing problem.
It is a marketing problem, obviously, and obviously we touch on Amazon kind of digging into the smart Wi-Fi market, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Listen,
really smart.
there are fire detectors and carbon monoxide detectors with Alexa support now. Think about that.
Amazon sells a microwave oven
A freaking
that has
microwave.
Alexa support, and it costs nothing. How
Yeah,
much does that
50
thing cost?
bucks.
30 bucks?
I think it's like $50, $40.
I think,
Yeah.
but it's less. I think it's less than 50. Whatever it is, it's cheap. But it's kind of astonishing. Obviously, I mean, there's probably some group of people who I want to go get some smart home stuff, and what pops into their head is, I'm going to go to Best Buy, or I'm going to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or a place like that, maybe because you do see that stuff there. And those places are good too because you can get the smart lighting switches and the receptacles and all that kind of stuff. The stuff you actually build into your wall. So it's more for like builders and DIY people or whatever. But it's out there. But Amazon's Amazon.
Yeah.
People go to Amazon to buy diapers and toys and books and music and everything, food. I just ordered coffee from Amazon. Um, I and that's how they're going to promote it.
Yeah.
This is what used to work for Toys R Us back when retail stores were a thing. Toys R Us used to sell diapers for under cost because it would get mothers with young kids into
To
the
buy everything
store,
else. Yeah.
and then try to get a kid out of a toy store that's the size of Disney World. You're going to buy something else, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
and it's a great model, and Amazon is the everything store essentially. And they have so many people that pay for Prime for free shipping or 2-day shipping or whatever it is. And I think a lot of people just you browse it. You know, oh
Yeah.
my God, look at this! Look at this!
You know what you can't get on Amazon or with Amazon?
What's that?
A job in Long Island City in Queens,
Right.
because that
You
deal
gotta.
came
Can I
to a
read you a quote?
crashing.
This is so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Read it to me.
I just wrote this story. I don't know if you saw this, but let's see if I can find this. I just wrote about this, right? So Amazon, what you're alluding to is Amazon pulled out of their agreement to build a second headquarters in the
Yeah,
New York City
yeah,
area. So, so this is so excellent. Senator, New York State Senator Michael geez, now I got to say his name. Gianaris.
it's a Greek name, Paul. You got to add the accent to
Gianaris.
it. Yeah,
Gianaris. So this is his quote about this. He says, like a petulant child,
yeah,
Amazon insists on getting its way or it will take its ball and leave.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna
It's
tell
like,
you this. This became a very political argument, and
yes,
that's the worst
yes,
reason to not allow a company to come in. I know the Long Island City area very well.
yes.
It was a dump up until a couple years ago.
Sure.
I'll give you a great example. My father had an opportunity in 1993 to buy a giant lot in Long Island City for about
Mhm.
$25,000. I want to say 93, 91, something like that. And
Usually where
my
it is,
mother
it's like a
turned
super
around
fun
to him
site or
and
something.
said, "What are you, crazy? Nobody would ever want to go there." That lot
Yeah.
went for millions recently. So,
Sure, but I mean, well, look, the whole Amazon selection process was such a farce, right? And
yeah,
it was basically pitting cities against each other so they could throw as many tax breaks and incentives and whatever it was to convince Amazon to build there. After this, they actually selected like 3 different places. I think New York probably would have been the official HQ too or whatever, but um, and then everyone else is looking at this deal like, what? Why did you give them so much stuff? Like, what is this?
because the
And
hope is
yeah,
to
25
build that neighborhood. That's
no, I
what they
know, but
want.
then there's 25,000 to 40,000 more people in that area, our already overloaded subway system.
Yeah.
It's
I
yeah,
think
I
on
understand
paper,
the pushback.
it made a lot of sense and it would have been great, but the infrastructure's not there. The other thing that it actually would have
Yeah.
done was bring a lot of new businesses to the area to kind of piggyback
Yep.
on the 20,000 or whatever
Well, like,
residents are
you
going to
mean
be
like,
there.
food cars and stuff?
Yeah, food cart, a lot of
Food trucks?
halal carts, a lot of halal
Yep,
carts,
yep.
tons. No, it would have
I,
brought it would have kind of changed, revitalized the area that's been sitting there, and
no, I know.
it's
I
going
know.
to be a slower process, obviously.
I just feel bad for New York because I really feel like this Amazon thing was gonna put your city on the map.
It was going to finally put New York on the map.
You know?
It would have been the city. They would have said it. They would have called it the Big Apple, the city of
New York,
dreams.
yes. New York needs a something that will take the focus away from your terrible sports
Yeah,
teams and your
yeah,
lackluster entertainment options, your terrible restaurants.
the worst. Terrible,
Yeah.
terrible. So I don't live
Oh
anywhere
boy.
near that. By the way, at that location in Queens, I live nowhere near Long Island City. Long
Yeah.
Island City and Long Island are two different things. I'm closer to Long Island than I am to Long Island City. A lot of people have been asking me how I feel about it and how it would
Right.
impact me. And I have to constantly tell them that I don't have a subway system by me. And I live in
What's
New
your
York
local
City.
bar? What's the name of the place you go down the street there?
Press.
What's it?
Press
Press, yes.
195. Yeah.
So, Press would have been full of all these like little Amazon millennial types.
Oh, it would have been, yeah,
You
it would
know,
have been it.
it
They're already packed.
would have
I
been
actually
terrible.
told Press, I was like, you know what I want to do? Let's open up a press right over there. You know how much, I mean, just buy a dump right now.
Hmm.
Put your money in a
Right.
dump. So listen, I get it. I get what happened. It's very political, which I hate when you make decisions
Yeah.
over politics and not the better for the city on both sides. Whoever, I mean, actually, it was all
Yep.
Democrats that did it,
But
so it
you know
didn't
what?
even
This
matter.
debate should have happened before that decision was made. The problem with this is there is a back and forth that needs to happen for sure. There are local groups, people, and unions, and whatever else that need to get involved. This is the conversation that should have happened up front.
Yeah.
It's goofy that they said yes to New York, and then this debate happened. People were protesting it, and
It was all
it's
fine
too bad.
until a couple people started, talking about it. there's a lot. If we get into it, it's going to be a whole discussion. So I don't want to go into it now.
Yeah.
Maybe on a bonus show we'll do it. I know that you have a meeting at 2:00, and we'll wrap it up from there. It was a quicker show, but next week, do you want to go a little long on Tuesday?
A little long?
Yeah, we'll go a little longer
What
next
does
week.
that mean?
Let's go a little long. It's radio talk, Paul, for doing more time. Let's go a little long.
I have a meeting scheduled next Tuesday.
Oh, man. What time? We can figure it out.
At 2. It's at 2.
Okay.
I can't really explain.
No, don't worry about it. Don't explain yourself. We'll figure it out.
It's very unusual.
We will figure it out. Don't worry. Guys, go to the website, gfknetwork.com. You can follow Paul at The Rot on Twitter. You can go to therot.com. As always, my source for all the news. Brad and I don't know if you know this, but we were sexting about our refrigerators on Twitter. Yes. Did you not see the back and forth that we were having?
I did not.
We were having a very detailed and spicy back and forth about our refrigerators. We were taking photos. We were sending pics of each other's fridge. We were asking each other how old and where it came from, the brand of the fridge. We got very into this refrigeration talk, Brad and I. I feel like we made love on the internet with our refrigerators.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like that's what happened. So that's it for this week, guys. I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll have Brad on next week. Maybe I'll do that.
Oh.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll have Brad on and not you. We'll figure it out. We'll do something.
Okay,
it'll be fun.
Fine.
All right, guys. See you later. Take care.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm actually meeting with Tina.
Okay. Do you want me to? Well, we're still live.
Oh. Well, it doesn't matter. No one knows who Tina is.
Okay.
That's what Tuesday is.
Okay. No worries.
Sorry. It's kind of a weird one-off thing. All right. I do have to roll. I'm sorry.
All right, Paul. I'll see you. Take care.
Yep. Bye. You too.
All right, guys. I'm going to take my daughter on a Valentine's Day date. We're going to go to Press, as Paul was talking about. We're going to go to Press and have some fries and get some cake. She demanded, she's 3 years old. She told me that she wants me in a nice button-down shirt and pants rather than just a T-shirt and nothing else, and shorts. Refrigerator talk. This week in fridges. We could do that show. That'll be a fun show to do. Guys, thank you for tuning in, as always. All right. I got to now. Oh, my hip is killing me. And I you know what happened? I think I'm getting a cold, but it's the beginning of the cold, which is terrible, which is the worst point of it. And I think this is going to linger for a long time, which I hate. Yeah, so we're going to go out for Valentine's Day. Because I think now, like at 3 years old, she remembers these things. And I told her like a week ago that we would go out. And she was like, and this morning she remembered. And she like wanted a nice dress for my wife. She's like, oh, put me in a nice dress. Daddy and I are going out. So we're going to do our daddy-daughter thing today. And then I'm going to come home and make some steak for me and Jess. All right, guys. I'll see you all next week. Yeah. Maybe I'll do something on Monday with Paul. I do want to do these longer shows. I feel like we get a lot more done, when we go long. All right. All right, guys. See you next time. Take care.